Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I've got a really fun project for you today. Take a look at this quilt behind me. Gosh, doesn't this look like you worked hard? It's so beautiful, it's so fun. I love the scrappiness, but I also think it would look great in a two-color quilt. But let me show you how to make this, because this is a disappearing block. So to make this quilt, you're going to need one packet of 10-inch squares, and I have used Willoughby by Maywood Studio, and I just think it's a beautiful line. You're also going to need a packet of 10-inch background squares, and we've just used this Kona to blend. And then for your inner border, you're going to need 5/8 of a yard, and it's this little 2.5-inch inner border out here. Your outer border is a nice big 6-inch border, and for that you're going to need 1 5/8 yards of fabric. Now the backing, we've used our Missouri Star on the backing, and it's a big 108 piece of fabric, and you'll need 2.5 yards of this big 108 for the backing. And since the quilt is a nice large quilt, it fits on there perfectly. But you can also see it shows up this beautiful quilting pattern on here. It's called G-Daisy, or it's a G with daisy, so it may be J-Daisy. We don't even know, but it's a daisy pattern, and it's darling. And I just think it's a really fun way to show off that quilting pattern. So let me show you how to make this. So I'm calling this Disappearing Hourglass block, Disappearing Hourglass X's and O's. And it's because how it comes together. It comes together with this O-looking block, and it has this X-looking block over here, and I just think it looks a lot like X's and O's. So Disappearing Hourglass, X's and O's. We've also developed some new tools that work perfectly with the disappearing blocks and 10-inch squares. So I'm super excited to show you about those. And obviously, if you don't have those, you can still make the quilt, but let me show you how to do it. So we're going to start with our block right here. And we are going to get a background block, and this is made just like all the other disappearing blocks. We're going to put it together like this, and we're going to sew all the way around the outside. And so 1/4 inch from the edge, we're going to come, and we're just going to sew along here and go all the way around. Now don't worry, if you get 2 blocks and they're not exactly the same, just choose one to follow. A lot of times from one company to the other, their squares are going to be a little bit different sized, and that's because of the peaks that are on them. What I have to check here is to make sure that I actually caught this block all the way around, and I didn't over here. So let's sew in this just a little bit more. I'm going to start right here. You always want to follow your smaller one. And if it pinches at the corner, it doesn't matter, because you're going to cut right through that. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to come and we're going to cut right through this, like this, corner to corner. And you can see there's a little bit of a pinch over here, but that won't matter, because we're just going to cut right through it like this. These disappearing blocks are so fun and so easy, and I just love all the what ifs that come from these blocks. So once you've sewn your block all the way around, there are several ways to square these. I have cut these diagonally both directions. You can press them open and use a squaring tool, a regular 6.5 inch tool. Ours are squared to 6 1/4, so you just have to watch that a little bit. But we've come up with a set of tools, a 6 1/4 squaring ruler, and a 4-inch ruler, which makes the cutting so easy, and I will show you how that goes along. But obviously they're rulers. If you have a ruler, you can make this. So we're going to start this one off by opening it up and showing you how we did this. And so I'm going to press that open, and then you can lay this block on here like this. The stitch line goes right down the center, and you're going to square all the way around it like this. This is a great time to use that rotating mat. And as soon as I finish this one, I'm going to grab that, because it makes it so much easier. All right, so we're going to do that to 4 of our blocks. And And then I'm going to show you the other way to square as well. So if these are closed like this, you can also just lay your stitch line on their stitch line and trim this edge off and come up here and come around here like this. For me, for my brain, this is the easiest way to do it, but I even have a trick that makes it faster. So if you can, if your stitch line will go all the way over to the edge and it lines up nice, that's great. Mine doesn't line up so nice on this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim. And again, I'm lining the stitch line on this ruler up with the stitch line on my block. And you can see there's plenty of trim room. We don't have, you know, it's not like it's tight, you know, it's just nice and easy. All right. So then if you sew your two blocks together like this one has the background and the block on it, you don't even have to cut it apart to use this ruler. You can actually just take this one, line it up, the seam line again, this seam line, this center seam line on your block with your seam line, and we're just going to go like this and cut this, and it saves a whole step of cutting. Move this out of the way, trim those little corners, and you've got these blocks. And you just go around the edge and do that, and that makes it real quick. Because again, see this little dash line right here, it represents the stitch line, and you're going to lay that right on your stitch line and just go around. And so I tend to do that because it's just a little bit quicker for me. You do whatever works best for your brain. Everybody has a different brain. That's why we like all these different tools. Oh, I even moved my ruler before I cut those little ends off. All right, one more here. There we go. All right, so now let's press these open. And we are going to be making hourglasses out of these. So we're going to put 4 of these together to make an hourglass block. And I'll show you how to do that as soon as I get these pressed. And you are actually going to do this to all of your layer cake, the whole layer cake. All right, so let's clean this up a little bit right here. And we are going to take this and we're going to put this together so it goes 2 whites in like this and 2 colors in like this. And this makes our hourglass block. And this we're going to sew together like a big 4 patch. So we're going to line those up right there. And I like to sew how we're going to put them together because I'm going to chain piece these. And then do that this way. Now this does leave your bias edges exposed, so just be careful with them. Don't stretch them or pull them. Let the sewing machine do its work. And then we're going to open this up right here and make sure it's still an hourglass. There we go. We'll flip it over and line it up. I try to line up these seams right here. If you've pressed to the dark side, they should just nest together nicely. And this center seam also make one seam go one way and one go the other. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to iron this and make sure it's nice and flat. No folds in our seams. And because we trimmed these to 6 1/4, it should end up being a 12-inch block, which makes our cutting so much easier. So in the beginning, in those old tutorials, literally I didn't square anything. So now we're better. We know better. When you know better, you do better. All right, so this is where this ruler comes in. Now this is a 4-inch ruler. Any ruler will work. 2 inches, you know, because all we're doing is cutting 2 inches from the center seam. What I like about this ruler is that I can lay it right on here. I know the center of my ruler is going to go right on the seam, and I can cut from both sides. And so that's why we did this like this. And so I'm just going to cut this side right here. And then I'm going to turn my mat around and cut this side right here. And then I'm going to turn it back and I'm going to put this down this center seam. And we're going to cut both directions. Basically, you're cutting them into 4-inch blocks. So if you want to come from the outside in and cut 4 inches in, you can do that as well. But we're just basically cutting 4-inch blocks. And if you don't have a rotating mat, if you have a mat that's small enough to just pick up and turn, do that. It makes life so much easier. All right, so now we've cut it on all 4 sides, and you can see every block now, it's a 9 patch, and every block can function independently. There are 9 blocks here, and we can do all kinds of fun things with them. But I want to show you how easy this quilt behind me is to do, because we are only moving 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and these outside corners right here, we're just going to turn them around so the little tiny triangle goes to the outside like this. And then we're going to scoot these back together, and that's it. This is the whole block right here. So look how cool that is. Just moving those outside corners, you get this new block. Now I actually scrapped mine up. I used 4 different colors of my half square triangles to make a block. But let me show you, let me go ahead and sew this one together and show you how it fits in, because it'll be easier to see if it's all one color. But I did use 4 different half square triangles for each block. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold these over like this, and we're going to sew this whole first column together, and we're going to chain piece these so our thread stays in between, and then we'll add this last row on. So we're at 1/4 inch, and we're just going to sew these down, make sure they stay lined up, and then we're going to grab the next piece. And can I just say, you just want to cut one and sew one. But what I did on the one behind me was I made all my half square triangles, squared them all, put them in a big pile, and then just randomly put them together. All right, so now I'm going to bring this back down here and open up the first row, and then we'll add this one on to this side. So they all stay in rows by doing it like this column sewing. And here's the next one. This is actually the one that I usually get mixed up on, is this middle block. But then I started a mantra of saying color goes with color, and then that helped me a lot. All right, so then you want to open these up and make sure they are in the right places, and you'll see it makes this little wing here, and all your corners are to the outside. And now we're ready to sew our seams together. So we're just going to take this right here, so 1/4 inch, match up our blocks. I just think this is so fun, and this is really, for my brain, I love playing with these disappearing blocks. They're just so fun. Alrighty, so let's press it so it lays nice and flat. This is our block right here that we get, and it just is really fun from only moving those corners. All we did was turn those corners out. All right, so let's look at how this fits into the quilt. All right, so here's my block. Now mine is all one color, but it goes up here in the corner like this. And you can see the fun secondary things happen out here. So when you put a row together, you're going to rotate this. So you're going to put, this one has the tiny little white square in the corner, triangle, and then you're going to rotate it. And you're going to rotate it, and rotate it, and rotate it, and rotate it. And so just back and forth, we've got 6 across here, and then we have 7 down. Again, let's look at this one block right here. Because I used 4 different half square triangles, I have 4 different blocks going on, but this, when you put them together, they make this secondary block. So what you want to watch, if you're going to do it scrappy, is make sure that these are all different fabrics when you put them together. Because these come together with all the white fabrics and these come together with all the patchwork fabrics. It would be a great 2-color quilt as well and have a lot of dimension and a lot of fun. It's really quick and easy to make and such a great quilt that looks like you worked so hard. So I am super excited to have these new tools that make making a disappearing block quick and easy for you. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the disappearing hourglass X's and O's quilt from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. Hey everybody! Every week I give you a new idea and we are almost 1 million quilters strong. So join us every Friday for a new tutorial, and if you haven't clicked or subscribed, make sure you do that today. See you on Friday.